The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. It is 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
Breaking news from overnight out of Central Bakersfield. And take a look at this. You can see a huge blaze of fire shooting up into the sky. This is from the Golden Empire Transit parking lot. Apparently a bus caught fire, and then eventually that fire led to a hydrogen tank and exploded. Part of the 99 freeway actually had to be shut down for a while crews battled the flames. This was taken just shortly after 2 a.m. We are still waiting on official word from firefighters on what happened.
Your time now is 5:03. What was supposed to be a day all about rebirth turned tragically into the day another man lost his life on the Kern River. We're learning more about the rescues over the weekend at Hart Park. Despite countless warnings about the swift currents from community leaders and law enforcement, the emergency calls and search and rescue missions continue. 17 Cecilia Trevino has more from the family of the latest victim.
Su hija andaba gritando ahí desconsolada, gritándole papi, papi.
A terrifying moment for a family when Fernando Mejia went into the Kern River and never made it back. The 38-year-old Anaheim man is the latest victim recovered from the river in what officials call the highest water levels in almost 20 years. Valentin Luquian and Josue Alvarado were at the Kern River campground when everything unfolded.
Sabíamos que era un grupo cristiano también ellos, que estaban llegando a hacer bautizos.
Alvarado said Mejia and his family came to the river for a baptism when somehow Mejia's daughter was taken by the current. Mejia went in to save the 7-year-old. The campers consoled the wife and joined her in prayer for her husband to be found. Valentin Luquian says many underestimate the strength of the currents.
Some people might think, oh, it's not going to happen to me, or I'm a great swimmer, you know, I'm a Olympic swimmer, or whatever it may be. This is different than that. You know, you have rocks, you have branches, anything that can harm you, and you can lose your ability to swim.
In addition to the signage around the river, one of these is given to every group that comes into the campground.
People have been coming here for 20, 30, 40 years, families, and they've brought their kids up in this park, and they used to swim in the river all the time. So a lot of the families think, well, we can still get in because we've been doing it for years.
Robbie Cagle says even with a life vest, it is never completely safe to go into the river. Cecilia Trevino, 17 News.
Meantime, another body was recovered from a Bakersfield canal yesterday afternoon. This is near Truxton Avenue. Investigators say neither the gender nor identity of the victim has been confirmed. By our count, this is the 6th body pulled out of a Bakersfield canal since mid-June.
The snow in the Sierras is almost gone, but a nearly full Lake Isabella is the lasting benefit. Right now, the lake is sitting at 94% capacity. And while more water continues to flow in, it's not as much as earlier this year. That's according to reports from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Only 3% of the Sierras right now are covered in snow. Meantime, the water levels in the Kern River through Bakersfield, you're probably noticing, are slightly decreasing as water officials reduce the flow out of the dam.
KGET is your local election headquarters. In the race for the White House, a potential third-party candidate could jump into the mix. However, both Democrats and Republicans worry that could pull votes from their candidate. This as staffing shakeups and financial hurdles plague GOP 2024 presidential contenders. NBC's Drew Petrimo has the latest from Washington.
At a Monday event in the key state of New Hampshire, Joe Manchin, the wild-card Democratic senator from West Virginia, toying with the possibility of challenging his own party's sitting president. In an interview with NBC's Vaughn Hilliard.
Are you taking it off the table?
We're not taking anything off the table.
The organization No Labels is threatening to run a third-party candidate if the 2024 presidential race comes down to a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump.
For us to do the same old thing is like a little bit insane.
And a Biden-Trump rematch is appearing more likely. polls show Trump with a commanding lead in the Republican primary. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, thought to be Trump's most formidable Republican challenger, now firing campaign staffers in an effort to save money.
We're not seeing the magic out of him at this point, and that's what I think has caused alarm. And
hoping to change the tide, DeSantis on the campaign trail, talking bedrock Republican issues, like his support for Israel.
We also always stood up for Israel's right to defend itself. They are besieged with terrorism. You have Iran looming. You have all these problems that they have to face.
Republican contenders Mike Pence and Nikki Haley also pledging their support while attacking the president.
For the sake of America and for Israel, we need to make Joe Biden a one-term president.
For Republican candidates trying to close the gap with former President Trump, the time is now. Primary voters start heading to the polls in just 6 months. Most experts don't see a path to victory for a third-party candidate, but there are worries a third-party candidate could play spoiler by taking away votes from other major party candidates. Drew Petrimo, NBC News, Washington.
Court watch this morning. 4 men have been charged in connection to a stolen car whose owner was shot and killed after tracking it down by using an Apple AirTag. David Thompson was charged last month with first-degree murder, carjacking, and auto theft. He's the only defendant facing a murder charge. Police say 61-year-old Victoria Ann Hampton used an Apple AirTag to track down her stolen vehicle back in March. But when she tried to get the car back, police say Hampton was shot in the head and later died. Giovanni Garcia Vizcarra and Joseph Bush IV were all charged with carjacking, auto theft, and conspiracy, according to court records. The fourth defendant, Adam Ransom, had his case sent to juvenile court.
Police have arrested 2 men they say were involved in a deadly gang-related shooting in Delano. It all happened Friday night. An officer says she was patrolling the area when she heard gunshots. She drove toward the gunfire and saw 2 bodies on the ground and a car speeding off. She chased down the car until it broke down in an open field. We are now learning that 20-year-old Saul Ochoa and 19-year-old Brian Heredia had been arrested on suspicion of homicide. The coroner identified the victims as Joshua Pena and Jose Juarez. Both were 28 years old.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.